So every entrepreneur has their story, and there's lots of things that we can learn. I mean, years ago, I was training with Jim Rohn. Some of you that are watching this have heard of Jim Rohn. If you haven't heard of Jim Rohn, I encourage you to check into who Jim Rohn was. You can check a lot of videos about him and with him speaking here on YouTube. And Jim Rohn was saying that one of the ways to accelerate your success is to learn from other people's experience, or OPE as he calls it. And this is certainly something I've done all my life, hence the books behind me here. I'm surrounded by books and I learn a lot from books. And one area that I like to read in is the area of biographies, finding out how certain people were successful. So, welcome to Quantum Action. My name's Fabrizio Poli. I'm the author of a number of books on personal development and business. I also have my own channel about business aviation called BizJet TV, which you can check out, the link below. All about private aviation. That's my business. I'm in the private aviation space. But I also am here to talk to you about personal development and leadership and setting goals, achieving goals, success, and that. So today, in today's episode, we're going to talk about this gentleman here, James Dyson, Invention, a Life. His biography came out this year. Just finished reading it. You can also a link below to my Goodreads profile there, and you can read the review I wrote about this book and many others as well. But James Dyson, those of you who don't know who he is an inventor, English entrepreneur, and invented and famous for the Dyson vacuum cleaner, which doesn't use bags. It's got a special suction system on it, which James Dyson invented. And in the book, he tells his story. Very interesting how he went to work for somebody else initially, and then came up with the idea, and then eventually went off on his own to develop the Dyson vacuum cleaner. In the book, he talks a lot about his failures and how he learned from each failure. Big emphasis on his family, on his wife, and how his wife has supported him all the way through. He's been married once, the same wife all the way through, and his children, and how then he got his children involved in this. He's not an engineer by training. He's actually a designer. He went to design and art school, and then evolved into inventing in the engineering side, and came up with he did about 5,000 different attempts to build this vacuum cleaner, which was unique. And then when he did, it had a little bit of success in the UK, but then as he tells the story, he then decides to go to Japan. And in Japan, they appreciate new design. The Japanese are also very into technology, and they liked this new innovative vacuum cleaner. And it really, really went very well. Captured the Japanese market as a result of the noise that this vacuum cleaner was making, excuse the pun, on the Japanese market. The Americans picked it up, and it started to become famous and do very well as a product in the United States. And as a consequence of that, it then rebounded into the UK and it's done very well over here too, and the rest of parts of the world. Now, James Dyson has not only invented the Dyson vacuum cleaner, lots of other inventions in that he talks about. Some were successful, some weren't. One of the big flops that was the electric car, the Dyson car, which he spent over $1 billion on, and then suddenly realized that this thing wasn't going to work. It wasn't going to make him money, even though the car was a very good car. But when you ran the maths between production, this, that, and the other, and the costs and that, it was going to be very, very difficult for him to make money. So he actually pulled the plug. And this was all money, his own personal money that he put into that. So it's very interesting, very humble of him to tell the story and say, look, I messed up on this one. It cost me so much money. And I really, really appreciated that. The other thing James Dyson talks about, he talks about sustainable farming. He's also involved in that type of business, growing strawberries here in the UK. He's very vocal about his support for Brexit. He does not believe the UK should have been part of the European Union, which it no longer is, because he explains that 80% of the business that UK companies do are actually outside of Europe. So why should we restrict ourselves to being authorised by all the other European countries to be able to do business in a certain country? So he talks about that in the book. He also goes into education and the entrepreneur / inventor school that he set up, where it's a system where you can enroll and you work while you study. So you get qualifications, but at the same time, as you work, it pays for your tuition. And that is a great system, because as we know, in the United States, a lot of people go into debt in order to finance their college education, or university education as it's called over here. And that does take a long time for a lot of people to pay off. Well, James Dyson invented this new system where not only is it helping people with innovative stuff and teaching them things that they're going to need in the marketplace today to succeed, something that a lot of universities don't do. A lot of the curriculum there and the syllabus is actually outdated. So he talks about that and that problem and how he's fixed that problem too. Because, like in all businesses, in order for a business to be successful, you need to spot a problem and come up with a product or a solution to fix that problem. And that's where most businesses have been successful, because they're actually a solution to a problem. And so that's another interesting thing. So overall, I do recommend, you have a read of this book, James Dyson. It's certainly one that I will be reading again and again. Lots of interesting insights from James Dyson. We talk a lot about Elon Musk these days. But this is definitely somebody that's a family man, married with the same woman all his life, his children, and how they've been instrumental in helping him succeed, especially going through difficult times. And I really, really appreciated this, being a family man myself, to read about this. And it's certainly a role model for me in the way I do my business and that. So that's all from me on this episode of Quantum Action, taking your life to infinity and beyond. This is what this is all about. It's about helping you become the best. And that's all from Fabrizio Party on Quantum Action. So hopefully this is helping you to take your life to infinity and beyond.